all these politicians have been benefiting, they have been trading on our lives. They have been benefiting from the loot after loot. They have beneficiaries of corruption, land grabbing, injustice, name it. Now they have seen that people are woke, that these people here have no leader, they have no tribe, they see no tribe, they don't care about your middle name, they don't care about your tribal politics. They're coming for accountability and transparency, and they have regrouped now. They're coming here to say that they're going to do a dialogue. Who wants a dialogue? Some things don't need a dialogue. Accountability doesn't need a dialogue. Fighting corruption does not need a dialogue. How do we come and tell Ruto to fight corruption? He has to be intentional about it. He knows he's in charge of the country. He has all the information. He gets all the reports, intelligence reports from NSIS, DCIO, name it. He knows. He knows his cabinet is corrupt. Everyone is stealing left, right, and center. How does that need a dialogue? Who is Raila? Who is Raila to speak for Gen Zs? Raila is almost in his 90s, in his deathbed. Raila will not be here in 10, 15 years' time. Why should he dialogue about the next generation, about young people who are looking for opportunities, who want their government to be accountable and provide services that people need? He does not speak for anyone. Raila in 2017, he even um, made us believe that he actually won the elections. He went ahead and sworn himself in as people's president. During the Mandamanos, people died, including Baby Pendo, a young girl who was just about a few years or few months old. She died. She was killed by the police. The family has never have never got justice to date. Miguna, I don't. There are some things I don't agree with Miguna, yes, but he's a Kenyan. We all know he's a Kenyan. We all know he was cleared to vie from a governor position in Nairobi. What did Raila do when he shook hands with Uhuru? The first thing would have been seek justice for the families of the lives lost protesting for him. He never did that. He never told Uhuru, now bring Miguna back because you sent him away. You exiled him from his own country because he sworn me in. If you have to charge him, bring him back and charge him in our land. You don't have to exile a Kenyan citizen by birth. He never did that because he didn't care. It's all about him. He benefited whatever money he was paid. You know, all that, all the families that lost their loved ones. Come 2022, Raila again told us, open servers. He went into the streets. People died. Nobody has ever received justice. Raila does not speak for them. When he was supported by Ruto for the AU position, he forgot all about the lives lost. He does not care for anyone. He does not, it's just him and his stomach. And then come now, Raila is coming out and saying, we are going to do a dialogue. With who? Ruto was killing people. Police were killing, shooting live bullets. A lot of people in hospitals, nursing injuries. A lot of people have died for this. And all the government needed to do is just respect the rule of law. Kenyans have a right to protest. You know, listen to the people. The people are saying they don't need this finance bill. You cannot force it on them. They don't need it. They don't want it. Kenyans don't want to pay more taxes. Kenyans want you to account for whatever they are paying. They went ahead and shot people, killed people, abducted people. Some people are still missing. A lot of people lost their businesses because politicians hired goons to destabilize and interrupt a peaceful protest. So people fight on. These politicians, it's them against us. It's the political class against common Kenyans, common Wananchis. There is no politician who will sit on the table and negotiate for anyone but themselves. So this should be something, a reason again to be angry and go out and do whatever you can. Whether you're in the diaspora, pass the message, go to embassies, protest. If you're in the ground, go on the streets, hold the government accountable until they're able to meet our demands. And our demands are very clear. Accountability, simple. Fire all those CSs. They're all corrupt. They're thieves. Reclaim whatever they have stolen back to the people. It's enough to pay our debts. You know, fire that Inspector General of Police who ordered police to shoot innocent young people, including children. Simple. The message is clear. Show us that you mean well for the country. Toa hizo position zote za upuzi zenye hatuhitaji, because we're already overburdened by recurrent expenditure. You know, the wage bill is too high for our country. Too high. We don't have enough to pay all those people that position that we don't have in our constitution. That cabinet secretary position, prime cabinet secretary that Mudavadi is holding, it's not constitutional. You know, so we don't need those people. We are too overrepresented. If it means changing the constitution, we can amend the constitution to remove some positions so that Kenyans are not burdened by the wage bill. We don't have enough. The little we have is being stolen left, right, and center. These people don't mean well. Even those people, senators who are speaking well in the Senate, they voted yes for um, a conflict of interest bill that is going to allow politicians and civil servants, public servants, to trade, to do business with the government. Kina Sifunas, Kina Ledama, they voted yes. And yet out here they're saying they're with us. They're not. They're not with us. It's about them. And they're worried because now the politics of Kenya is shifting from tribe, from handouts to issues. They're threatened because they will not thrive in lies anymore. We have the records, we have the receipts. They're not going to lie with us anymore. We seek information because I think it's chapter 27 of the Constitution, right to information. It gives us right to go in any office and demand accountability, demand for information from public offices. We know our rights. They're not ready for that because they have lied to us for far too long. People raise against all this. There is no dialogue. We are leaderless. We soldier on. I think I'll end there. Thank you, Pipita.
All right. Thank you for that submission, Bwana McKenna. I see Yaroslav is the last one here, and editor Jungle Geek. Yeah, Jungle Geek, talk to us, and then we'll let my co-hosts add more speakers as well and run the conversation. Talk to us, Yaroslav.
Yeah, thanks, Pepita. So today I've been a very shocked person, but not shocked, not shocked because of the events that have happened today, but rather the expectations that people had of the political class to an extent, because people need to understand the moment you declared war on Ruto regime, the moment you decided to tell Ruto regime things aren't gonna be as usual anymore, you are speaking to the opposition by proxy, and the message couldn't have been clearer. So watching the events of today, this was an expectation. You expected the political class to coalesce around one another because after all, they are all after the same opium. Okay. So two things. We should not lose sorry, we should not lose track of what we are fighting for. There is a lot of noise lately and a lot of misplaced anger here, there. Oh, we hate this guy because he did this. We should drop people who decide to betray the cause and leave them to their basically leave them to their thing. Okay, but they shouldn't form part of the town square agenda so that those are what we are focusing on. Right now, what we are saying is the president is very much empowered to fire, all those CSS because they haven't performed. You call somebody like Ababu Namwamba, tell him, show me your track record. I'm pretty sure he's not going to even name 5 things that he has done. Call Aisha Juma. Aisha Juma, I don't know her portfolio, by the way, but I hear she's a cabinet secretary. Then there is another one, they're just very funny names, Clearly somebody who did not expect those people to work from there. So let's take the bull by the horns, and let's continue taking the bull by the horns and leave all these other side shows. And ask Ruto that if he never intended for the ministry to be run from, by the various cabinet secretaries, then he should take, he should take responsibility fully. So he either fires them or their failure is his failure, and we hold him accountable to that. Thank you. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, Yaroslav, for that submission. We see Hulida is back. Hulida, what are your submissions? Alafu, I refresh this mic up. Let me just talk about what this is about at Tushafika top of there. Let me play the jingle.
Yo, what's up? Baby, let's go. You're listening to Home Run with PP. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Home Run PP, weekdays 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. on X Spaces. Follow me at MC Pipita just to make sure that you can get to, talk to us and also get to know when the space is live. Of course, nimeona watu wengi wameingia hapa hivi kusubmit. Remember, tomorrow Home Run with People will be turning 1 year since we started, and that is one milestone I'll not take for granted. We started off talking about Finance Bill 2023-2024, and we are still here talking about finance bills. I don't know. It's quite interesting, but the most important thing is we have been consistent. I have been consistent. Tuanzia hapo bwana. Hapa hivi I have been consistent, but I'd like to say major shout out to Jay Shiko, who has also been part of my journey. I'll not say this show it will be in anything without her, because also Jay Shiko would co-host to me when I couldn't be able to come to the mic. So maybe I'd also want to say shout out to that, and of course, flowers. Yeah. I also want to big up a couple of people who have been also been here, but I'll let that happen in the next segment when you're on the final hour of the show, that is at 9 p.m. But asante sana Victor Kura, nimekuona pale hivi ndani, also one of our avid listeners. Kuna wengine wamepotelea ndani ya numbers, tulikuanga watu 20 hapa, sasa sahi hata siwezi waona. But anyway, wale wetu wamekuwa wakitune in hapa hivi ndani, wamekuwa wakishare experience zao. Thank you so much, Dennis. Chief guest Abdul Rahman, yeah, they've been here with us. Cleo, I also see you there. Thank you so much for being here and also guiding this journey throughout, manze. So it's 1 year now. Tomorrow, I don't know what to say, guys. Tutafanya nini kesho? We'll know. But on Saturday, there's an event, a getaway to Naivasha. If you are ready, you can also join us and go there. But right now, I want to hear from Hulida. Final 3 minutes. I'm going to time you because Hulida nimerealize unaweza toa speech. So nina kutime 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Na tumalize mambo yako.
My apologies for that.
Okay.
So I think I stopped at civic education, right? Civic education,
yes, ilikuwa point number 2.
Yeah, civic education, I was mentioning that it was a huge drive during the 2010 constitution. We have not seen anything of that sort. The president put a constitution in every household, probably in every pair of hands. And today I would ask even the people who are on this platform right now, how many of us have that copy on PDF, just, for some light reading? How many of us have it? How many of us downloaded the Finance Bill 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, and so on? we got to this point because we don't keep up with what is going on, at least not on a clinical level, which is why the debt ceiling kept on going up. It kept on going up. This is something that probably a few people would have noticed, because in the last 20 years or so, the debt ceiling has moved, I think, five separate times, where against the advice of many financial experts, which President Ruto and President Uhuru have not listened to. And we cannot explain how we could run a country on 250 billion 20 years ago, and now we cannot run it on 4.2 trillion. It just doesn't make sense. And the idea that the president is incompetent is not entirely true. He's malicious. He's sabotaging because he has a reason to. He has these arrangements, these ungodly arrangements that he has with the IMF and with the World Bank. They just don't make sense for Kenyans. And I think it was Caswell who put it very well. He said, this is privately acquired debt, but it is publicly guaranteed. So presidents go out there and borrow money. It's almost personal, because he only needs about 205 MPs to raise that debt ceiling. But when the monies get here, they're paid by you and I. And it should be nearly impossible for a president to do that if we could hold our MPs to account for this. So that's why I'm saying it is an involvement of many people. And we don't need to get to the point where now it is a movement where the corrective measures that we need to take are of such a high threshold. But let me stop there. Let's go to what Hanifa managed to do in the last few weeks of this movement. We saw so many people contribute to a kitty that was able to do so much. I don't know. This is just an idea off the top of my head. Maybe someone can streamline it for me. But why wouldn't we do something of the sort and actually acquire a caucus of lawyers who can put the government to task over some of this mismanagement of funds? For example, the education fund, the education ministry, 45 billion was reduced. Agriculture and rural development, 9 billion, health, 7 billion. All those are monies that have been taken from those ministries. It should be unconscionable, and there is a way to push back. But pushing back by agitation can only achieve so much. These are matters that we should put the government to task, the executive, the president to task over in a legal setting, such that it cannot be done. It shouldn't be able to be done. There are ministries that you simply cannot cut funds from. Education is very key. Health is key. Health right now should go back to the national government. Every county in the country right now has either clinical officers or nurses or orderlies who have not been paid because of this kind of mismanagement. Health is so critical that it cannot afford to be left to individuals, which is what the 47 counties right now are being run as. So I want to wrap up as quickly as possible. If we could find common ground such that we can put the government to task through the judiciary on some of these matters, especially matters of finance, then I think we would be getting somewhere in an action-based setting. Because at the end of the day, we could have the best president, but as soon as he leaves office, the next guy could be the guy like what we're having right now. We could put him out of power, bring in somebody else, but keep the structures the same, and we are going to run into the same problem 10 years after this competent president is gone. We'll just keep on cycling the matters. But if we can understand and take up the job of the oversight of the constitution by the best legal minds, the sharpest legal minds can probably join platforms like tell us. Hello.
Time is up.
Okay. I yield. Thank you very much.
All right. Abdul Rahman and any other speaker, please kindly avoid sharing tweets on the Jumbotron or on the space, because my space inaanguka. I do not have the capabilities. So tafadhali, let's just keep that jumbotron as clean as possible. It's not by design that I do not have anything posted there. Is to keep the space stable. Now Abdul Marudi, when ndo nakupatia chance hii as I try to reconnect with my co-hosts as I dropped them. Hao wengine wote, request the microphone one more time. We have at least 1 hour before we call it a night today here on Home Run with Pipi. Thank you so much for everybody who spoke. Mimi nimewambia tu kitu moja. I am in shock and disbelief. Longest 1 minute I've watched of Raila Odinga speaking, but I'll play that after Abdul Rahman speaks. Abdul, hi, uko hapo?
Yes, Pipi. Nimesikia wase wamerefer a lot to hiyo speech ya hiyo interview ya Obina Show na Murkomen, na I took time kuiwatch last night, then nika follow off, nikairaukia asubuhi, nika watch because I really wanted to understand hivyo nini. So wase hawana noma whatever you wear ama whatever you eat, Pipi. We really don't care. Kitu yenye iko laki ni empathy. Una read the room, unaona vile wase kwa TL wanaambia nanga read the room. Hawezi kuja kufloss sijui hata kama unavanga nini, because tunajua wewe umekuwa lawyer, wewe umekuwa lecturer, wewe umekuwa senator na sasa wewe ni minister. Definitely, na kama uko na law firm, una run a law firm, definitely you are a man of means. But ku read the room na kukuwa na empathy ni kuweka feelings. Kuna wase wana go without jobs sahi, wase wako depressed, kuna wase wana go without food, kuna wase wana go without rent. Hiyo empathy haiko. So kuna insensitivity fulani inatokea when he's flossing about a friend mwenye amemwambia collections, then he talks about some place they went in some country and then the cards were not working. Sijui he would have resorted to paying with some of the collections in the watch nini. So essence yetu ya kureorganize this whole issue ni kuhakikisha wase wako sensitive to the needs of wananchi. Hatuwezi kuwa wewe ukiwa pale juu una lose touch na wase hapa chini, you cannot feel what is the most pressing. Haujui hata hizo issue alikuwa anasema tunataka the reason why tunataka kuongeza the fuel levy ni kwa sababu ya ku maintain road maintenance, kwa sababu kuna road zinaendaga zinakaa without the road network increase, but hiyo time hiyo levy iliongezewa some I think 20 or 30 years back. Unajaribu ku make sense, but bro, angalia ukiongeza any cent kwa any shilling kwa any a liter of fuel, ina touch boda, ina touch unga, ina touch everything, na inaumiza wase at this level yenye tuko. So mi naona at the moment kenye tunafaa kukua tukipush kabisa ni hao wase wa kuage sensitive even when they were speaking. Wakati akipiga story na mabeste zake ni sawa, but when this information is going back down to in a trickle down to unemployed youths, to mothers that have nothing to feed their kids na wana story ya kuambia jioni wakenda kulala why they are hungry, ina come out as the most cruel and insensitive piece of info yenye msee na pass. So mimi ningetaka kama kuna agent wa gavana mwenye yuko kwa hii space ama mna yeso wenye mna prepare hiyo security briefs to the head of state ama to whoever huwa mna brief, ni sensitivity. Sisi tunataka mrecognize that sisi ndo mabosi, yani sisi wananchi ndo tumewaweka pale mtuongoze. We want you guys to feel that we are the owners of the country. Nyinyi, you're just our stewards, and if you can steward our responsibilities, ama zile positions tumewapea in trust to mnaweza hold responsibly, sisi hatuna noma na nyinyi, but as long as mtaendelea kukaa hivi, we will keep fighting you na mtaua wenye mtaua na wenye watabaki tutabaki. So thank you so much people for allowing me to come back.
Karibu sana Abdul Rahman, and also Hulida. But the Hulida ukoitafuta kazi ya speaker unaweza pata because you already have content. Asante sana also Abdul, nimekuona hapo hivi. Confraternity jamani, hizi jina ni nguvu bwana. Confraternity of Patience, how are you doing?
Hi everyone.
Yeah, are we good? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. My name is Otieno. Standing in for the Confraternity of Patience Kenya. So the Confrontative Patient Kenya is a non-profit institution. It's an indigenous institution, not donor-funded, but supported by individuals who are interested in championing for the interest of the patient. Quick one is that we seated here in this space, we are either suffering from something, particularly medical, or we are taking care of someone who is suffering, or potentially you're one. The next moment you wake up and you find yourself ailing. This is a very interesting and very important conversation, and I must appreciate the convener for making this happen. From where we sit as a patient representative, our interest is on the health and the well-being of the population. And allow me to address to a few things, particularly the fundamental parts on healthcare service delivery, healthcare service health system strengthening, or even to extend it to universal health coverage. One of the very fundamental pillars to it is leadership and governance. Leadership and governance, therefore, means the first questions we're going to ask ourselves in this space is, and that part of leadership and governance is, are we safe with the leadership of the health sector, those people in the leadership of the health sector? Leadership in health sector, considering that also health sector is a devolved system, is a devolved function. However, looking at the budgeting and other support system for the healthcare ecosystem, we realize that the Ministry of Health is heavily funded. The counties are as well, allocating some funds and so forth. So the question we're asking ourselves, and we also want to challenge the public to ask, is that are we safe with our current leaders in the healthcare system? That is in the Ministry of Health, our good Minister Nakumicha. Of course, the buck stops with the presidency because it is the president who is at the top of the leadership. Are we safe so that you wake up tomorrow in the morning, you walk to a health center, and you want to have your blood pressure checked? Are you safe that you're going to get the right and professionals with the right qualifications? Are we going to get the medical officers? Are we going to get the clinical officers? Are we going to get the nurses? Are we going to get the laboratory officers? Are we going to get the right persons who are going to capture our data? That is the health record and information officers, the HRIOs. Our good people. For us, those who are living in Nairobi and the cities, probably can walk to a health, to a facility, rather you can afford a facility. But the question is, what about the majority who are living in the rural areas and even the urban areas? We also have, hardship zones, particularly for those the communities in the slums and so forth. Are we safe? And even so, to speak to it, the other fundamental part, of course, currently emerging is we have something called triple therapy. I'm sorry, not triple therapy, but triple threat to our healthcare system. One being burnout, two being pandemic. We just left COVID. I think we're still having conversation around COVID and other, scary diseases. Lastly, patient and of course healthcare safety. Of course, for us, we are majorly interested in the patient. Of course, we are not leaving the provider in the equation. So looking at the triple therapy, the triple threat. One, burnout. Is our healthcare system well, the health, human resource for health? How our facilities, equipped with the right persons? As a country, we talk about, I just want to extend the HRH part, the human resource for health part, and quickly move to patient safety. How many incidences of, negligence, malpractice, and so forth have been reported? And I had a conversation with one of the ministers who is also a healthcare provider. And he said that, hey, we have good medical practitioners in the country. We have good doctors. We have, so forth, so on and so forth. But one thing scares him off is, the safety issue. Just like Lisa said, that we have the three. That first being burnout of a healthcare worker, two, patient safety, which I'm now speaking to, and the concerned member of parliament, let me be specific, was like, we have good professionals. However, I am afraid what will happen if I go back, or if I go to hospital. What will happen to me? Am I going to come back with another disease? Am I going to come back with a complication and so forth? So having appreciated that we have good, medical practitioners, but the safety part is being driven by the burnout in the hospitals. That means we do not have, sufficient healthcare providers. For us, of course, like we may all know, our healthcare system, the care model is moving from paternalistic model to patient-centered. Paternalistic to mean that it is doctor says it all, it is the clinician says it all, it is the lab personnel saying it all, and so forth. So we are shifting towards patient-centered care. Family, actually, we even incorporating family into it. So the question is, if we are drifting from, the paternalistic model of care to patient-centered care, how are we going to achieve this as a country if it is said that we have over, 6,000 doctors who are sitting at home? We have around over 15,000, around 14, thereabout, clinical officers who are sitting in their houses. We have nurses and so forth. We have laboratory personnel who are sitting back at their houses, very much qualified, yet the government is not prioritizing, the interest of the patient. Unfortunately, we see them celebrate how much they're looking for jobs abroad. Yet we, the Kenyans, are suffering. Actually, the Kenya is sick. Our healthcare system is literally sick. And for us as a patient organization, we are not in the business of blaming the healthcare worker, but blaming the incompetent healthcare system and the leadership. My good people, we need to transform the country as a whole. A country cannot grow, actually perform, or even deliver with sick people, sick mentally, sick physically, sick physiologically, and etc. Mental health is a big deal, good people. It's either one of us is undergoing a mild form of it, or even subtitle that part, that is form, or even that which is expressed. However, as the systems exist, there is no support. So how are we going to be productive? We are indeed a hustling nation. Our healthcare system is past hustle. It's on the bed rest. So this is a conversation we have to speak about. We need to speak about our healthcare system. We need to speak about, the government is speaking about delivering universal health coverage. Universal coverage means now leaving no one behind. However, walk into a facility. For example, let us take an example of someone who is not a government employee, who is not a civil servant. Go with your NHIF, you're a contributor. You have been contributing, probably you're private, you've been employed in a private sector, and you are contributing over 1,500 shillings. Probably even more as compared to someone who is a civil servant employee. You go to a private facility, one thing they are asking you is, are you a civil servant? So the question here is this are we, we need to dismantle this discriminating healthcare system. And of course, this is a conversation we even brought to attention of the ministry, to the PS and so forth. So I'm calling upon our good people to let us not be quiet. Let us report those incidents. You go to a hospital, you see that you meet, there's one doctor, there's one clinical officer, there's one nurse attending to people, and then you realize, hey, what is happening? That's unfortunately it's because of lack of information that our systems are not so well functioning, leading to even other complications within the hospital. There's something called hospital acquired infections, very common. Unfortunately, these are conversations that are swept on the ground, and the carpet. So good people, as I drop the mic, I want to challenge us to to be ambassadors, and even speak out in spaces where you realize that there's discrepancy. There's yes. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm just gonna call you Cough Pack. Yoni Rice. Cough Pack. Thank you for that, and also highlighting the issue with regards to mental health, because mental health is one thing that, if you know me for a long time, I've been a champion of that, because I believe that many people do not talk about mental health enough. So thank you so much for that. I'm actually gonna follow you right now so that we can keep that conversation going. Remember, every Thursday when normal programming resumes, Home Run with PP brings wellness and health and wellness every Thursday. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, and we'll also be having that conversation on mental health. So Kofpak, be on the lookout for that as well. Now, I have Professor Ochieng Adongo. How are you doing, Prof? Lakini hiyo profesa yako sio ile ingine. Prof, hi. Huyo ako wapi huyo?
Hello,
Mm.
can you hear me?
Hi,
Good, how are you?
I can hear you, Prof.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm good, and you?
Nice, thank you. I'm good too. And thanks for the good job that you are doing. It is actually my first time, coming into this space, and I am listening to a lot of beautiful stuff. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I had just a few things to talk about. Of course, it's not my space, and therefore I'll not take even the 3 minutes. But then it is also important to remind ourselves of the things that we can easily achieve. The last speaker spoke, a lot of things about health, a topic that I think is very close to my heart because I've been in that space for the longest, both in Kenya and the region. But then back to the things that are currently trending in Kenya, talking about the finance bill and whatever it is. And people are talking about Ruto must go and what is not to happen and what we can be able to achieve and all that. But then from where I sit, of course, Ruto must go is a topic that people are talking about. But then we come and then now ask ourselves questions of how achievable can that be? Of course, in the long run, yes, but it's not something that we can just wake up and make happen. So, but then before we even imagine of getting there, what is it that we can be able to do to make sure that at least we are making progress? And from where I sit, our problems is largely systemic, systems. Somebody was making a joke that places like in the US, you can easily elect a dog to go to, the White House and you have your things running. It's because they have fixed their systems. But in Kenya, I'm telling you, even if we are to replace Ruto with the systems as they are, then it will be the same things. Many a times Kenyans speak so well, especially when they get platforms like such as this. But then you will also realize that I think nearly, and I stand to be corrected, nearly all Kenyans are corrupt. What they lack is just the opportunity to exercise their corruption. So you will replace Ruto with somebody else, and then the same thing repeat itself. So what is it that people can do to make sure that some of these things are fixed? We are happy that the Gen Zs and their revolution were able to achieve things like the finance bill is now down. But that done, what is it that we can do next to make sure that at least progress are made as we go to the farthest end where we want to even remove the president? So the issues of system, that is what people should be looking at. The law. Look at things like CDF, for example. Uh, you go to the village, and many times when I go to my village, you find women queuing and grandmothers crying and dance. Some of them dancing for the MPs when they are given some 5,000, checks for their bursaries for their children. But this is money that is not supposed to be, you know, uh, disbursed by even by members of parliament, Because if these are legislators, and if you look at the constitution, I'm not a lawyer though, I'm a public health officer by profession. So, but if you look at the CDF Act as it is, then you realize that the members of parliament have a lot of say, and that is why they use it to manipulate people. And that is why, as much as we are saying these MPs are bad and whatnot, when they go to the villages, they become the village heroes. Why? Because they have given some mamas some 2,000 shillings, some 5,000 checks for their bursaries. And you know, in the village, that's a lot of money. Because if your child is in a day school and they only need 5K between them and education, and someone gives you that, they begin to think that these MPs are small gods. So things like fixing the issues around CDF and how it should be managed is something that is very important. An MP goes to the village and builds some latrine or a toilet somewhere and brands his name as, you know, so and the patron and whatnot. It's bullshit, you know, because this is not the MP's money. But when our people sees that there is this toilet and it has a honorable somebody's name, then they think that this is a big favor. And without this honorable member, they would not be having that toilet. But then this is not that MP's money. So can we be able to fix some of these things so that, you know, we have a system that works and is working for all of us? I think Kenya is the only country in the region. I'm talking about the region because that's why I've practiced my trade. I've moved to, you know, Uganda, South Sudan, where I currently live, you know, Tanzania. Yeah, and realized that it's only in Kenya where people are fighting to get government jobs. And there are so many friends who have approached me. Oh, Max, can you give me some small money or just lend me some money? I got an opportunity with this county government and they need 2 million shillings and I'll be able to refund you probably when I get my first salary. I should be refunding you every month until I clear I clear the whole amount. Then you ask yourself, you know, so if you had the 2 million and you want to bribe for a job, and this job many a times you ask them and they tell you it's about 100K or less, a monthly pay. But someone wants to bribe, you know, with the 2 million to get a job that they're going to earn 100K. And the answer is simple without even asking them. People are not going even to these places for, you know, to work or to earn a living. But they know that once you get there, it is about the salary. So it is only in these government spaces where people get a chance to steal the most. And therefore, people are ready to pay whatever it takes to make sure that they are in those spaces. So these are the things that, you know, as Kenyans, we should be able to focus our energies on and try to fix before even talking about the president going or not going. So that we talk about, you know, small doable things that we can be able to do and make happen. The IEBC I saw today and the Rutos and the Railas of this world were talking about assenting to the bill. Okay, of course, it is a step. But then that is just one step. I think having fully, you know, functional IEBC takes more than just those, you know, that's what we witnessed today, and the speeches about dialogues and whatnot. We don't need a dialogue, for instance. We don't need it. So we want a situation where the momentum is kept, and we are looking at how do we make those small steps as we move towards our bigger goal, which is making sure that the whole government goes home. Look at the doctors. The doctors, I think, when I was in the University School of Health Sciences, I was in public health. The doctors were in medical school, and from that time, some time back, you know, the doctors hijacked, you know, Afia House, and everything was purely, you know, curative medicine, and everyone forgot about preventive medicine, where some of us were. So everything plus, there's a time we had a Ministry of Public Health, and there was also a Ministry of Medical Services headed by Professor Nyong'o. But you realize even that ministry that was public health, the people sitting at the helm were all medical doctors, and there was nobody, you know, with the public health background or whatever it is. And today, the same doctors are coming back to the street and crying that, you know, things are not working for them. The enemy is not, you know, the enemy is not the people who are sitting there. The enemy is the systems. So today now, people like Machin, but is it Dr. Matendechere or somebody? There's Dr. Koto, who was, you know, was my PA. I was the same years, health sciences in the same school. Now he's at the Ministry of Health, working with the minister at the moment. But you realize that Akoto, who we knew as, you know, some of those very strong activists. Today, Akoto is speaking the language of the government. So even some of you in this space, it is the opportunity that you lack. But at the end of the day, when you get those opportunities, you end up, being corrupted and whatnot, and are how different. Who knew people like Akoto would speak the same language of the government? No one thought about that. So can we focus? That is my bottom line. Can we focus on making sure that we have systems so that whoever goes into those spaces, regardless, does not have an opportunity to lie, an opportunity to corrupt himself, an opportunity to engage in ills. So that is what is going to fix it. Otherwise, you will keep on changing people, left, right, and center. And at the end of the day, nothing much is going to change. So work on the systems, fix them. If we can have, reduce the minimums in terms of systems that we want to fix. We have identified things like IEBC. I am very mad about what is happening with the CDF because I've seen how, grandmothers and mothers are crying in the villages and some of them dancing for the MPs because they have got 5,000. So if we could just identify a number of them,
Hiyo
because I
3
know,
minutes profesa bwana umesema imeisha
yes,
bwana.
because I know,
Wewe ni
can we
mkora.
identify some of these things, list them, and then we go for them? And then Ruto must go, can also be at the tail end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that submission. I see we have the honor to have the 51st president of LSK, Madam Faith Odhiambo here. Good job with the people who hivi nje kwa streets. LSK has been at the forefront of making sure that people who are arrested unlawfully sleep at home. Now, I also want to big up the doctors who have also been out there making sure they occupy MOH. I want to say this, guys. There was a photo that was going around of doctors sleeping on the doorsteps of Ministry of Health. That was a very powerful statement. That was a very powerful statement. That in as much as you're telling us, enda America, enda wapi, tutalala kwa milango yenu mpaka siku mtatupatia hizi kazi. We are not supposed to be doing this, but it is so tough. And now you cannot be employed as a doctor because of what again? I'm going to ask Dr. Bosire to speak to the plight of the doctors because, of course, of experience and stuff. But I want first of all to hear from Master Flexi Ashley, if you can hear me. Amekuwa kwenye mic kwa muda kidogo na hajapata nafasi ya kutuongelesha. And I also see Hulida has a hand up. I'll let Hulida go after Dr. Bosire. Master Flexi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pipi, to host me. First of all, I want to appreciate and for this time, by the way. So mine is about medics, because when you see the system, this system is rigged, by the way, according to our leaders. Because when you see, we have more medics in Kenya, and we are still having a number of those who are going to graduate or graduates. They are on the way coming, and there are some of those who are in intern. Then when you see those medics kufanya hiyo kustrike, si ati mambo na ni mambo na system yao, because they are lacking some of equipments. Like you see some of hospitals, kuna zile hospitals zenye zinakosa equipment so that they can serve the patients very well. And you see there's some of politicians, this system is rigged because there's some of politicians wale wako under some projects in hospitals, like hospital hizi kubwa kubwa. You can see like MPSHA, we have some of the politicians who are shareholder there. They used to bring a lot of materials, equipments, so that unapata hizi hospital ndogo zinakosa vitu kama hizo, unaona, zinakosa service, kupeana service because of equipment. I think mnanipata. Hello?
Nakupata poa.
Okay, so you see like those hospitals, and some of the hospitals that they are funded with politicians. That's why the system is rigged. And you see like when you go in Gishagi, some of the hospitals, they don't have equipment, and some of the equipment zinadropiwa kwa hizo big hospitals because of those systems that are rigged. And you see some of medicine saizi sasa tukisema I'm a medic by the way and I'm a pharmacist where I'm working, and you see some of the drugs unapata hospitali hazifiki kwa hospitali because KEMSA inafanya ile kitu, and we have the system and tunafaa to look forward for this system, and kuna wale watu wenye wanadeal na hiyo system and which is wanafanya vitu to benefit themselves, you see. And we can come from these politicians by the way because of the salary. First of all, the salary is supposed to be cut off, and kama huyu mtu mwananchi mwenyewe ndiye analipa tax ndiye alipe huyu politician, how comes the politician the salary iko higher than this doctor, this medics? Surely even iko more than hawa walimu, you see. And those guys hakuna kitu yenye wanasaidia, like ukiangalia MPs hakuna kitu yenye wanasaidia, wako tu hapo kupiga kelele and bribing and doing monkey business. This system is rigged, my brothers and sisters. We need to stand firm by the as a Kenyans, then to say we need to remove all these systems. Ani watu watoke kwa system kabisa. As my professor vile ametoka hapo akasema, the system, shida ni system yetu, shida si sisi wa Kenya, shida ni system. Wale watu wenye wako kwa system wanafaa waondolewe na waende. Yeah. Thank you.
Asante sana for that. Dr. Bosire, what do you have to say about the current Occupy MOH conversation? And let me tell you something, guys. For the first time, I'm seeing maandamano where people are going and are getting pilau yenye iko na ndizi na kachumbari. Mimi unajua sijaitamani kwenda maandamano. Ina slap mtu wangu, na imagine tu unaenda pale hivi kwenye maandamano, kidogo kidogo hivi umelala pale hivi umeletewa chai. All those people that are sparing 200 shillings, 300 shillings, 1,000, 20 bob, 5 bob to make sure that the people are putting the voice out there. Don't stay hungry. This one is for you. Now, I see Dr. Bosire ako hapa. Dr. Bosire, can you hear me now?
Nakusikia.
Yeah, talk to me about all this. Kuna mtu kaibiwa? Dr. Bosire, are you there?
Niko hapa, unanisikia?
Nakusikia sasa. I thought you come drop.
Yeah.
Talk to
Maybe
me.
a little bit about the history about why this is very important, and it actually touches on the whole health system. Is that after the completion of the 6 to 7 years of undergrad, we are supposed to actually do supervised training, yeah, and our seniors. And so this is usually like an automatic process. Munamaliza by December, January, latest April, mnakuwa posted, because there's no way you can practice medicine or even be recognized to have been a doctor in any part of the world without at least having done internship. Now, for the last couple of years, it started with Uhuru's, by the way, Uhuru's government. There has been a laxity around timely posting and also remuneration. And of course, the presiding strikes that you've had, the 2017 particular one, is what gave us the CBA for 2017. And it actually clearly allocated, rather outlined how much medical interns are supposed to be paid. And I mean, after rationalization, and this will involve government, it involves actuals, it involves SRC, they agreed 206,000 as a basic salary. But then, of course, there's a bit of flexibility around if you're in hardship or not. It was agreed, and that was signed for. And so I even did my internship in 2013, ikisha 2014. So while I did not benefit from that second one, the 2017, any intern who did the internship from 2017 really benefited from the full 206. Walks in Nakhumicha. First and foremost, the first thing that she does, she wants to call doctors who've qualified, taken the Hippocratic Oath. The only rate limiting step is just the internship to get that license, students. And that changed the whole thing. Nakhumicha and Felix Koskei, and why? It was because they wanted to undercut the doctors. Is they wanted to reduce the salaries to 70,000, but also to not necessarily post all the existing interns. And of course, we went on approach. We were like, guy, we deposited the CBA in the labor court. There is no one in the ministry, there is no government person who actually contested it. It was agreed. And for the other cadres who are existing, that CBA is actually what is being implemented. Of course, he now came and daraud, for lack of a better word, akadharau hiyo CBA, akadharau the existing leadership, akadecide, you know what, I'm going to you take the 70k or you not. So of course, a court case was ensued in Eldoret. And part of it was actually the legality around wezi reduce in this country, labor laws, wezi reduce pesa ya mse, you can only go up or maintain it, right? And of course, even the illegality around it, that it is SRC that is deciding this, and yet that means that it literally completely was not following what the court processes. The court had the decision of the court, which itself is a signatory to that CBA. And so what we're witnessing today around the of course, the union has been doing a lot. I know there's a lot of emotions around the union, as should be, because I mean, there's anger, there's a lot of anger among the public and among the professionals around how this matter has been conducted, but the union has been doing something, that I will attest. To what extent it has done something to see the fruits is, of course, what we are witnessing right now. That even after today, 10 hours, yesterday, Davji was in meeting. The previous day, they were like in meetings, but nothing is coming out. The solution Nahumicha is giving is posting batches. By the way, at the end of this year, we are September, October, there we're going to have another new batch of doctors who've graduated, who need to be posting. So we'll be doing 2 years. So we'll always have that backlog. Now let me bring it to you, why it's critical for you. Now, if you go to your casualty, in every public hospital, it's run by clinical medical interns, clinical officers, and nurses. When you look at the hierarchy in terms of who is the first responder, it will be the MO intern. After the MO intern, it is the CEO. And of course, but I mean, that is in terms of responsibility, but people work collaboratively. And so to be able to say right now, I swear usijipate hosi yoyote iko mashinani or your relative. I'm just telling you the truth. The overwhelmingness, the overstretching, the burnout, and the confraternity, colleague here spoke about it. Burnout, it's just too much. And so people are leaving. The other story that you guys are not being given is that our numbers have been progressively reducing over the years. And now we are 50 million. If you go to KMPDC, less than 10,000 doctors are practicing. So for us, imagine even as you're tired, you're saying, me, I was one of the big proponents, people, tokeni, ishieni, because if they don't value you, leave. But then I'm like, we will run to where? We are going outside there, we are facing racism. We're going outside there, we are mistreated, we are treated badly. We become like second-class citizens. Why? And we have a country where our grandfathers fought for independence. So we stay and fix. So what can you do? So for every single one of you who is here, you can join the movement, support the young people who are in the streets, send them food, send them coffee, send them blankets. But above everything, manzi msiachilie hiyo hashtag ya Occupy MOH na Nakhumicha must go. Na kama bado mnasikia tu Ruto pia ishie, pia ongezeni ya Ruto must go. Because now Ruto is not just necessarily a physical evacuation of the office. It's actually a philosophical movement that is saying, we don't want anything bad. We don't want bad governance. We don't want corrupt leaders. We don't want misappropriation. MOH, by the way, if any of you have been following up the story of Sonko and some of the allegations that got Sonko impeached, one of the areas that had huge misappropriation was MOH. People don't audit MOH, yani there's usually a trust that mkipeana pesa MOH itaendea wagonjwa. That money goes to per diem, that money goes to big vehicle, that money is wasted. Moranga here, before this man right now is in court, the former governor, he said, I didn't pay healthcare workers because I wanted to invest the money first to earn interest. Like, where in this world do you make such a decision? Another day he bought vehicles and said, I opted to buying vehicles to go and deworm children. I totally understand the importance of deworming children, but hey, you do not steal from the right hand for the left or whatever the other way around. And so whatever it is that happens right now, and I'm liking that this is no longer a young doctor professional issue. I saw engineers today were in the engineering sector. That is it. Lawyers LSK kesho tunawangoja. Me and I'm hoping to go to KSL soon. Every single profession must be dignified. Mapara zetu hawezi kuwa wametupeleka shule all these years, or even some of us who've been fortunate to get scholarships to actually come and live miserable lives. And then we are told, leave the country. And go where? For those octogenarians to lead us. You saw them, by the way. Most of them are our patients. You know, literally with old age related illnesses. And I'm not discriminating, I'm just stating facts. And so for me, they should rest. Wanafaa tu retire wanze. Retire to wache young people lead this country. We have solutions for this country. But the fact still remains. Man, Nahumita must post doctors. And she must go. By the way, any anatoka. That I have never seen incompetence of the highest level. And to speak facts, this purported cabinet secretary is a political appointment, of course, and she has no qualifications. She has no capacity and competency to actually lead. If you remember when we went on this 56 days of strike, we decided to now literally audit her qualification. We wrote to the universities. Hakuna kitu kama online pharmacy. Hakuna kitu kama PhD. She even went and edited her LinkedIn, if you look at it. Everything was a lie. The only one particular qualification that she has that we recognize is the certification from KMTC. Beyond that, she has nothing else. This is the person who's making decisions about your health. Even if you're getting healthcare through the private sector, she still is making the decision, because PPP, if it's coming to equipment, if it's coming to cancer management, if it's coming to other governance, if it's coming to insurance, every single thing, this person is making a decision about it. Her hand, yeah, and PS. Our PS is an ECD teacher. It's a person who I really respect. But I mean, my fundamental question is, man, the education sector needs you. Uko kwa ECD and support Ministry of Education. You're not going to become a PS of health. The other day she wrote to me inbox. She could not even differentiate between KMPDC and KMPDU. Basics like that. And even when they speak, you just hear the cognitive dissonance completely about healthcare. If we want, this is a revolution that is saying, me, I want to be in the hands of Professor Public Health Specialist. I want to be in the hands of an AG who literally is making the right decisions for this country. I want to be in the hands of an interior minister who is not going to shoot young people. I want to be in the hands of a qualified agriculturalist who is not going to sell stones and poop for goats as fertilizers. And fertilizer which is donated to us from Russia disappears. You hold those people accountable. There's a level of accountability, there's a level of integrity that comes with professionalism. And it's not just tied with a position. It's also tied with our ethical background, which is attached to our profession. In 2017, we actually removed the Minister for Health, then Dr. Mailu, from the register of doctors because of his conduct. He's never come back. PS Muraguri, the same thing we did. They don't have a face in the profession. And by the way, if you're in spaces, professional spaces like ours, it's very important to organize within your professional body, and they respect and recognize you. And so there has to be ways in which we put professional persons. Now, wasipofanya kazi vile Mailo akufanya, we just send them out, and we disqualify them completely. That's what we need to do. So that's a background. So Nakhumicha must go. Interns must be paid, and paid dignified salaries, 206 and hardship thousand. You know, and that you need gross by the ukisikia unabonga hiyo ni gross. Na by the hiyo ndio ile ulikuwa unasikia anaitwa aje? Edwin Sifuna anasema aliekewa expressway. Aliekewa 300 and something k. Yeye ni mse moja. Mtu mmoja amewekewa tu ya kupita hiyo expressway. Hiyo ni sala ya doki moja, na unafaangalia ratio ya doki moja ataona mapatients wangapi? More than 20,000. So msasi kwambie ati this is a lot of money. But we must also demystify this thing that doctors are paid a lot of money. You go look at your SRC, and you look at the job grouping for public health sector, and you see what it is, the input vis-a-vis what is expected of them. Granted, private sector pays better. Granted, other sectors pay better. But then there's a calling within the public sector that literally, when you're embedded in it, you cannot let it languish. And then the common phrase I usually like saying, you're one accident away from landing in KNH. Saizi ni safi akifanya fundraising, you know, like public sector. I mean, patients sijui Mbagathi, wezi treatiwa Mbagathi. Literally, unaambiwa the sluice is not working. They can't even sterilize the drips to cover you in theater. Or the electricity has not been paid. You've heard those stories. Or there's no water. Or there's only one surgeon who's been working overnight. Or the nurses are on a go slow because they're overwhelmed. Like, those are facts. The cog that runs the whole system is the human resource. Dignify nurses, dignify clinical officers, dignify lab technicians, public health specialists, dignify doctors. And part of dignifying them is remunerating them well and improving their working environment. I was very privileged to do my study in an MBA on the effect of working environment on job satisfaction for public sector doctors in Kenya. And by the way, Storiado, it was the last one. It was the last motivator. I said, Mami, I want to be trained. I want to be a neurosurgeon. I want to come back and serve my people. I want to be an OBGYN and come back and serve my people. Please, just make for me the call room. Ensure that I don't work over 40 hours. I do not remember any single week that I was at our clinical doctor in frontline that I worked less than 40 weeks. It doesn't exist. Manze paka mnalala theater. You sleep in theater. Yani, even our nurses and our cooks walikuwa naturumia, they feed you. Wanasema, bosira melala theater. Unoga theater, unamkia theater list. That is a reality of what's happening to our doctors. But imagine with all that, bado tuna hold on. And I like the person who said, when we went on strike, the whole propaganda was tunataka do. No, people. We've always questioned, aside from human resource for health, we've always questioned commodity security. We unakam tu mimi nakwambianga kila siku shika prescription enda Nairobi hospital, shika prescription enda wapi. The moment I send you to private sector to buy this, and I have no qualms with private sector, I've worked in private sector, there is a cost difference. There is a loss of income for that person who's living there. And let me tell you, when government does bulk purchases, one of the advantages that comes with it is that there is a reduction in cost of the commodities. So me nikikutuma maybe when in one of these private sectors, man kuna markup kaya 30%. Na hiyo markup haikuangi regulated, by the way. Msi anaweza decide. That's why in utakuja gava ulale one night, ulipe 800 shillings, but you sleep in one of the tier 1 hospitals, you pay almost 20 to 30k. Because of that, I mean, it is a market that has failed completely. One of the markets that have failed completely because of regulation is that. But then that means we must fix the public sector completely. Technology is easy. There's huge technology that is getting into. We agree that we cannot be able to meet all our needs, but why is it that we are not adopting technology? People like radiologists right now, but all you need to do is have a remote radiologist, have a radiologist practitioner. Yana chapatuma picture anakutumania. We unaangalia una make diagnosis. One person can actually take care of a lot of centers. We don't want to do that. We have a whole directorate of digitalization in the Ministry of Health. Wana doing nini? What are they doing? They will only come to your data protection. They will come, by the way. I think the confraternity team will talk about data protection and privacy. That's a place they're coming for. And now they've come even to the place where the chief is discriminatory. Chief cannot be a social health insurance. Hakuna mse vile unaweza ambiwa ati mwezi kohoa more than 4 times in a family, mume exhaust outpatient. Social insurance is supposed to be unlimited, particularly in outpatients. They have put limitations. They have capped if you have cancer. They've capped how many times you can access chemotherapy, radiotherapy. They've capped that. So unakam nambo ati manze mimi pipita jo sasa itabidi you have maximized your radio sessions, you have to do out of pocket. And out of pocket, I swear, is what has led a lot of families into poverty. Tunakuwa mimi sijui kama nyinyi mna experience kama mimi. The number of harambees you've been called for medical. The number of people who are going to India. That is what we classify as out of pocket. Because families have to liquidate. Una liquidate shamba, una liquidate ng'ombe, una liquidate kila kitu. Every single thing mnabaki poverty. And then the worst part, you lose your relative. Yet we can fix that. We can improve our palliative care and be very honest with relatives and say, but at this particular point, we'll do our best. We don't want you to expend a lot of money. We will keep the patient comfortable. We have accessible morphine. We will ensure they don't get bed sores. We'll ensure they don't vomit. We'll ensure they can speak to you. We'll ensure they're comfortable until the last moment. But we are not doing that. We're exploiting Kenyans. So this Occupy MOH, interns is not the only thing you're fixing. You're fixing maternal, reproductive, and neonatal childcare. You're fixing adolescent health. You're fixing mental health. You must fix all of them.
Mute prof. Yes, doctor, utanipatia 1 minute of your submission alafu tutarudi kwako in a minute.
Aina was Pipita.
Okay, no, 1 minute. Give me
Bin-
final 1 minute submission from you first. Alafu ndo tutaenda kwa wengine.
Aina was. We must fix this healthcare. And by the way, it is your business and my business to fix healthcare system. And it starts by here. Saizi, they are very uncomfortable. Wameambia kina Davji, there is no way we are going to speak about the interns thing if they are still demonstrating out of MOH. No. Somebody talked about and said, by the way, make them uncomfortable, distract them. The public saizi media imemulika watoto wanalala. I call them watoto because they are my juniors and I don't infantilize them. Wanalala outside MOH na kunanyesha. Let them feel that pain. But let me tell you people, anything you write on Twitter, Nakhumicha must go occupy MOH. Shukran.